Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thanks a lot for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. Happy Thursday to you and your family. We're going to take a look, of course, here at Bitcoin, help understand best practice. I am at my home away from home here, so apologize for the background, a little different than usual, but we're going to power through because honestly, we want to see what's going to happen with Bitcoin next. Now, it did have a pretty strong increase yesterday, an attempt to break through that resistance level. There's a chance we could see a further increase, but we're going to see if the technical analysis tells us anything. I'm still leaning a little bit more towards the price retracing first before it legs up again. But again, stranger things can happen. I mean, we saw a handful of altcoins, APT for example, that surprised the heck out of us. So again, anyone caught in that trade? Very sorry about that. That is absolutely something that happens though. It's all about minimizing your risk, which is why we use lower leverage and a nice tight stop loss essentially to minimize the damage. So again, losses are part of the game, right? It's just kind of all about how trading works. The key is to get back on the saddle and to make sure that you are not letting it control you. Try not to get emotional. I know it's easier said than done. I cover a lot of that in my private trading videos. If you want to register for that, of course, cryptocash.tech is a site link down below. If you want to be part of our trading community, got some awesome traders in here, maximizing their potential. Of course, there's still some losses. That's just the way it goes. But once again, the gains are coming more consistent, and that's really awesome. So keep up the great work to my community. When it comes to trading on the best exchange, in my personal opinion, Bitget takes the cake. They are fantastic. I'm also recently partnered with Bybit as well, mainly because we have Cornix trades here, and Cornix is allowing us to effectively, have automated trade signals through that. So it's kind of nice to partner with those two amazing exchanges, as well as the fact that ExpressVPN is required for any exchange that you use with leverage. So if you want that, nice little 3 months free on a 12-month plan. Anyways, when it comes to Bitcoin, really simple, straightforward stuff here. I kind of covered this yesterday, so if you didn't catch it, just a quick recap. We've got a couple of bullish pennant type of patterns that are forming, and they're looking like they both want to break out. Well, I say both. One already has broken out, of course, but this next one certainly tried, but didn't succeed. So that kind of tells me that we are probably more likely to have some strong resistance in that area. When we look at the smaller time frames, you'll see that candlestick turn right around. So it kind of indicates that that push was unwarranted, because the last one we had, the price just continued to shoot straight through. It was like a really strong 1 or 2 hours. This one was a strong 1 hour, but the following hour was a retracement, very significant, almost closed where it opened. So to me, that tells me there's a lot of selling pressure, and the bears are effectively stacking up right around the 24,000 range. There's a tremendous amount of shorts leveraging right around the 25,000 mark as well. So for the most part, there's a lot of stop losses in that area. Kind of just tells us that the shorts are, kind of building building a wall right here, if you will. And a lot of times when that happens, short squeezes are difficult to occur. It takes a lot of volume, and you just kind of got to be aware of that. So anyways, the whole point of me mentioning that is that when you have two pennant patterns in a row, the second one is much less likely to break out than the first, because again, it's already overextended leading into it. And if you look here, of course, we're not fully overextended on the daily, but we certainly are getting close. I mean, even though you could say this is a reset, we literally went a good, almost a full 10 days of trading without getting that reset, right? So generally speaking, we are consolidating nicely at this point, but I still think that we might see a pullback because we're very overextended on the daily. Now again, Bitcoin can run, other coins can run too. It's just kind of the way that cryptocurrency works. But for lack of better terms, I have a feeling we're going to see some type of correction. We're starting to see a MACD divergence forming here on the daily, and that's not fantastic. I wouldn't say it's absolutely telling, but we're still losing this momentum. The longer we lose that momentum, the sooner we see a turnaround. So that's essentially where we're at there. Again, I wouldn't say it's terrible on the daily, but the daily does tell us, I feel, that we should see some type of pullback in the relative near future. Again, as stated before, the 21,700 mark is a decent area to consider an entry for a long position. And the reason why I feel that way, if you want to take a look here, take a look at this volume profile here if we were to zoom out. Now, you can see a tremendous amount of volume at the 16,000 to 23,000 range. And look at this, though. Even if we go even further, right, including all the previous data back from all the way back to 2020, we still have the most amount of volume at the 20,000 mark. And once again, secondary most amount of volume at the 21,500 range. Okay, so that leads me to believe that we are very much likely to see some support in the range of 19.5 to 21.5 right here in this area. Okay, so again, pull back to 21.5. That would make sense for the next leg up. Granted, we could still leg up now. It just wouldn't make a tremendous amount of sense from a technical standpoint. right? Again, stranger things can happen. I've been surprised here lately with certain other coins. Altcoins are a different story, but Bitcoin for the most part is doing what it's expected to do based on being so low for so long. But it doesn't make any sense for it to continue to run, at least in the immediate near future. That's just my personal thoughts. And we're consolidating nicely at this resistance level. There's a chance we could break above, but that candle that got rejected instantly yesterday leads me to believe that it's kind of not here to stay. So take a look at the 4 hour. We can see the MACD is, well, it's starting to lose momentum to the downside, right? So for the most part, we are kind of seeing this potential shift in momentum, maybe to the upside. Again, too early to tell. We don't want to focus on that. The key takeaway here is that we recently bounced off 50 on the RSI, and we saw this happen again when I mentioned this yesterday. We had this nice little pendant pattern. Price comes down to bounce off the trend line and 50 on the RSI, continued higher. Okay. Same thing occurred just now as well, at least yesterday for that matter, when we saw the price do the exact same thing. Came down to bounce off the trend line, jumped up, but the difference is we got rejected quite instantly versus yesterday, or sorry, maybe this couple of days ago rather, the last run we saw, it got rejected or it didn't get rejected at all, just continued to run, right? This one got rejected fairly hard. So to me, the recent rejection, that being kind of a compounding, ascending continuation, leads me to believe that we're going to see it come down. Again, this is kind of like an RSI type of divergence if you think about it, because the RSI is coming down, the price is going up. It would make sense for the price to continue lower from here, just based on the fact that we're continuing to retest that support level, right? And we're also losing that momentum. So once again, to me, slightly more bearish signs on the 4 hour, leading me to believe that we could see a pullback. We're also testing the 20-day SMA, and the 50 is still continuing, but trends can only last so long, right? I mean, I have seen trends last quite a while, but for the most part, from a technical standpoint, we shouldn't experience much more retests of this trend line, because the more often you retest something, the more likely it is to break. And on average, 4 to 5 retests of a trend line, and you see it break through. I wouldn't be surprised if the price drops here in the relative near future. So hourly, let's take a quick look here. Let's go ahead and kind of see if there's any indications. First of all, we got this significant spike. This is that potential, that pennant type of breakout that should have happened, but it didn't. You see how hard it rejected the following hour? Yes, it tried to push up, but the bears are still in play. They're establishing lower highs and tentative lower lows, where we basically have a type of wedge pattern here, right? So we got this little guy here, kind of just giving us the indication that the price is likely to break down versus up. Again, that's just my personal thoughts, the way that I see the way things are shaping up here. It would make a lot more sense for the price to break down, because we're retesting this level multiple times versus the lower highs. So when you have lower highs compiled with parallel lows, the likelihood of breakdown is much more probable. Let's take a look at the cloud and kind of see if there's any confirmation in that regard. Well, we don't have a significant confirmation to be below the cloud. If we close today at 23,000 or lower, then I think further downside would make a tremendous amount of sense. Conversion lines below the baseline, we've lost that momentum. Lagging span is soon intersected with the price action. We've got literally 2 or 3 hours before you have a sell signal if you have a long position open. So if you are carrying a long for Bitcoin, it wouldn't be a terrible idea to consider trimming your position. I'm not saying to close it entirely, but to me, we have more signs here, not significant, but they are still relevant, that we're going to see a decrease instead of an increase. Okay, so all 3 timeframes are kind of giving us a 60-40 probability of downside. And to me, if you add that all up together, that's a decent probability that we're going to see a pullback first before the next leg up. Trust me, I want Bitcoin to flourish. It just doesn't make a tremendous amount of sense when you have this much of an increase. I mean, from bottom to top, almost 45%. Bitcoin's literally doubled its size, and its gain, if you will, in the last 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, so that's a lot of growth in a short amount of time. While I know a lot of people love and appreciate parabolic runs, I don't like them at all as a trader. I think they can be very disastrous in a lot of ways. Again, that's just my personal thoughts, my opinions. I'm more of a conservative trader. I try not to take too many risks. And again, I thrive in this market because of that. But once more, if you want to be careful and cautious, I think I'd recommend doing so. It'd be much more better strategy for the moment. But I'm leaning more towards a short position with tighter profit targets down to the 21.7, 21.5 range, and then a potential long from there. That just makes the most sense to me. So that's where I'm leaning. I hope that I am right, of course, because I want the price to come down and get a better entry. But on the same accord, it's okay if I'm wrong. Bitcoin continues to run. That's still positive. just know if it does another run here, it will fall back pretty hard. And I think we got some decent resistance here, right in the range of about 25,000. So if you're going to have some positions open here, I would say 24,000 even is a good place to consider a stop loss if you're going to be shorting. So for me, I would have a stop loss around 24,000, and then of course some top profit targets, maybe 22.7, 22.4, kind of working your way down to that mark there. Once again, not telling you to short, but if you were to follow my short signals, keep in mind there's more inherent risk with short positions, which is why we use lower leverage and a stop loss. Okay, so again, smart traders succeed in this environment. So just be smart and use your own risk tolerance. Everyone's got a different feel and a different comfortability with taking wins and taking losses. All right, you want to learn more about that? CryptoCash.tech is the site, link down below. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you in the next one.